We are so pleased to welcome Simon Welch, who I think has just come in from the UK. Simon, welcome to the Corner Cafe.
Hi.
Hi. We're just meeting you tonight, but of course we know you from our friends Ben and Pepper. Hello, Ben and Pepper. Hello. If you've never been to Ben and Pepper's, it's the most fun you can have at a store. I'm telling you, interior design, unique gifts, etc. Okay, when you go on Simon Welch's poetry website, there is a lot going on, and I really want to encourage you to do that. And, of course, the website is
www.simonwelshpoetry.co.uk.
Okay, we'll be giving it. What a voice! Yeah, that's just to give you a little inclination, just a little hint about what's coming up next. Anyway, you have a choice when you go to the website. If you're in the mood for something dark or something light or something even transformative, you can sort of choose your in-the-moment emotional or psychological state. There's a poem out there for you. And it's a very cool website. There's a video of you sort of talking about poetry and what that's about. The thing is, your images go from the magical to the ridiculous, reality checks, living in the 21st century as we do, to even, I love you say, practical solutions to leading a whole and happy life. That's a lot to put in a poem.
I guess it is, but what I try to practice in my own life and then in the poetry that I write is taking complex materials, complex thought processes, complex emotional processes, and then whittling them down to the core, and then presenting them so generically that gender becomes irrelevant, age becomes irrelevant, and anyone who reads or listens or watches the piece feels that it is speaking directly to them.
And Wendy and I actually went through some of your poems. There are lots of them that are just free and out there on your website. And we each came up with some favorites for that. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
You sound British to me.
Shamefully, I am.
Where are you from, Simon?
I grew up in Berkshire, in a little town called Eton, which cusps Windsor, where the castle is. So sort of town, but vaguely rural. I moved to Brighton when I was about 21, lived there for 7 years, and when I'd had enough of the sort of the party lifestyle, because Brighton is a real party town.
I've heard that.
A lot of drinking, a lot of dancing, a lot of clubs, a lot of nightlife. When I had done with that, I realised that Brighton really was for learning about how many different ways a person can express themselves without being ridiculed. In Brighton, if you want to dress like nobody else, no one's going to look at you different. They're going to look at you and go, where did they buy that? And once you feel comfortable in your self-expression, you don't need to live there anymore. And if you do, the cycles start to repeat and you stop learning and you hit a glass ceiling. So I then decided to move to the countryside, and I am, well, it feels, in a cocoon period at the moment. I have 5 housemates. Everyone does very different things in the house.
You're not lonely in the country, obviously.
No, and we have people coming to the house a lot. I run creative writing workshops from the house, and I'm going out a lot to London and to Brighton to perform. I sit a lot of time in my study and write and create and have a lot of internet-based interactions.
You know, when I tell people that we're going to have a poet on the show or that we're going to be talking about poetry, a lot of people go back to their school days.
And they think it's going to be very boring.
And they think just heavy, or it's going to be, we're going to hear a long poem and I'm not going to understand it and it's going to be over my head. And it's exactly.
Yeah.
But poetry is so alive, really. And it sounds like you've hooked into that to make it really accessible to everyone.
I hope so. I'm pleased that you said that. That has been one of my goals. So you saying that affirms that maybe, at least to some degree, I've achieved that. Thank you.
Well, I love what you say, life is short, on your website. We don't have time for meanness and selfishness. No, we've just been through a presidential election. We know all about meanness and selfishness. But you have this lovely sort of way you talk about lightness. But not all your poems are light and airy and, oh, life is good. But there is a dark side.
Of course.
A real side.
Well, it's is it real? Maybe not, actually. But every human being has a shadow. An emotional shadow, a spiritual shadow, and I think most people try to disown their shadow because they think it's unattractive and unlovable. But what I'm learning in my life is that every shadow part of me, when I stop fighting against it and trying to exclude it, when I remember it, and when I say remember, I'm talking about bringing it back to myself. Remember. That's a really important word. When I remember that part of my shadow that has always seemed like a thorn in my side or something to fight against or to exclude, it's like turning a light on in a room where you thought there was a demon in the corner. And when the light comes on and the shadow disappears, you realize that demon was just an angel with folded wings, and that actually that demon can suddenly, spontaneously become an ally that will serve you for the rest of your days.
Well, honey, if you can get that in a poem, more power to you. Let's hear from some of this wonderful poet's poems. We had some favorites. Wendy, you who has children, there's a fantastical part of your poems as well.
Mm-hmm. I read some of those first, and I love the sense of play. I love the use of words and the images, and it was just really fun to read. So we'd be delighted if you would read one of my favorites.
Okay, and there was the Dribble Man.
It was a Dribble Man.
This is the one you want?
Yeah, I'm going to move in case I get sprayed and dribbled off.
No, I think you should stay there. If you're going to activate the Dribble Man, you need to be in the firing line. I promise I'll be gentle.
All right, be generous.
Of course, I will be generous and I will be gentle. If you see the Dribble Man, you'll see that there is a transformation going on. You may hear the transformation in the audio on this show. Thank you guys, by the way, for having me on. It's a real pleasure being here. Okay, so this is the Dribble Man, and this is to remind people that shadow exists. It is a poem for children. Children seem to love this piece, but they also get quite scared by it. But then children seem to like to be scared as well sometimes. I'm just removing the glasses. The Dribble Man. He has a sloppy face and his eyes are close together, and at night he slips the streets wearing trousers made of leather. He'll slip into the alleyways with oily, greasy lips, where he'll slurp up old banana skins from rotten rubbish tips. He'll squish and chew until his mouth is full of yellow slime. Then he'll spew it into pavement cracks to mix it with the grime. So if you see a puddle of this oily yellow gloop that looks a little like it might have long ago been soup, remember what your mother said when you were very young. If you step upon those pavement cracks, he'll get you with his tongue. He'll turn your face to slime and your liver into ham. So beware the moon, my sweet, and beware the Dribble Man.
And we are back with the Dribble Man. Simon, that was wonderful. Applause all around. Woo! We had great fun listening to that.
It's quite disturbing to be the Dribble Man, because when I become a character, I have to really embody that. It's not a pleasant feeling, but it's quite...
It should have been television, actually, although I'm sure all of that came through just with the audio. Oh, fantastic.
If you want to see this in person, come along Saturday from 3 to 6 and have a glass of Cremant and see Simon Wells house performing some of his poetry. You can also pick up some of a signed copy. You've got a couple of publications out. Magic Happens was the Dribble Man in Magic Happens.
The Dribble Man
like
wasn't Magic Happens.
There's a CD in the book, and it's beautifully illustrated, beautiful artwork.
Yeah, so there's a CD in every book I produce. Magic Happens is essentially for children and the inner child, because although we kind of, technically, we grow up, we don't ever really grow up. So Magic
Man
Happens.
Was my favorite.
It speaks to the child in all of us.
And then your other book that's out, maybe you have many, but the one I see in front of me is All Hail the 21st Century.
That's my second publication. There's 18 poems in there. Again, audio supported with a CD at the back, so you can listen and read at the same time, or just listen, or just read if you want to.
Now, you mentioned that you give poetry and writing workshops, but tell me some of the other things that you do. You even do like corporate events and
well, I mean, I worked in sales and marketing for 15 years. And during that time, I saw that when a person doesn't feel that they are being seen, they tend to dry up energetically in the workplace, which means they are less productive. So while I was in the working world, although I understood that the human being is not at the core of the decision-making processes that the company that employs them takes on, that if through motivation and recognizing and seeing the individual, they can actually feel seen, their productivity is going to go up. So I use those skills in business, but I also use them in poetry. And now, because I have a business background, but I don't work in that world anymore, I'm just a poet, I can go back into the corporate world and give seminars which are interspersed with poems, which are actually about self-love and self-nurture and seeing oneself in such a way that other people will then automatically see you. If people want to be seen, but they don't see themselves, who's going to notice them? You have to see yourself if you want others to see you. And that's the core of those business seminars that I run. But I use poetry as my support modality to prove that that is at least part truth. I wouldn't dream of saying the truth, because there are many truths out there.
Right. Well, one of the poems that I was really drawn to, you just brought us into this 21st century experience, which is I pictured this very wealthy businessman with a woman, and she sort of has a little aha moment in the middle of the poem. And it was really nice how you just kind of brought us into this and told this story. And again, this is something that poetry can do. It doesn't always have to rhyme. It doesn't always have to be a heavy thing, but it definitely told a story that really grabbed me. And I wonder if you would do us the honor of reading that, or of
reciting.
Telling us.
I would love to.
Tell us about this poem. I'm trying to think of the name. Oh,
it's called Dinner for Two at the
it.
Hôtel du Vin. And the Hôtel du Vin is a very smart restaurant. There's one in Brighton. There's one in London. And I've eaten there once, but when I wrote the poem, I'd never eaten there. I'd only ever been past the window. And I'd walked past several times and occasionally stopped and looked at people. And of course, because of the glass, you can't tell what conversations they're having. So you make it up in your head what you think they might be talking about. Coupled with a film, because I get a lot of my poetry ideas from films, coupled with a film, a very small scene, an insignificant scene from a particular film that I saw, that watching through the window and this scene from this film caused this thing to give birth. And later I realized, years later, when I put the series together, that Dinner for Two at the Hôtel du Vin is it's the changeover point in the series, because All Hail the 21st Century starts very dark. The first poem suggests that God probably doesn't exist, or if he does, he's so far away and he's busy spinning a million other planets on his fingertips, so he hasn't got time to make sure that pain and suffering doesn't happen. That's a very bleak outlook. And the series moves through discussing quite a lot of different bleak topics, but from the inside. And if you want to know what that means, I can't go into it now, but do come to Ben and Pepper on Saturday, because I would love to share that in more depth, what it means to look at a bigoted viewpoint, or a solitary viewpoint, or an isolated viewpoint, or a negative viewpoint from the inside. It has to do with self-justification. You can look at an opinion that's ugly and point at it and say, look at that ugly opinion. Or you can embody it, and then you can show why it's an ugly opinion at the same time as justifying that it's okay. And that's how this poem, Dinner for Two at the Hotel du Vin, starts. Are you wearing the panties I bought you? Tell me the answer is yes. After we've dined, I would love to escort you upstairs for a game of undress. How does it feel? I'd love you to tell me. I do hope I got the right size. If you were my teacher, you'd have to expel me for staring so long at your thighs. Did I tell you I'm earning $4 million a year in profits on corporate stock? We're now making sweatshirts and premium beer. At work, I am known as The Rock. After I've had you, I'll take you to Paris or Rome if that's what you prefer. There's no need to blush. I don't mean to embarrass. You know, you'll look dashing in fur. He went on like this for the whole of the meal, trying to shine like the sun. So halfway through pudding, she turned on her heel. She needed to breathe, and she wanted to feel a little less like his escallop of veal. And she left the hotel at a run. The street was a sea of perpetual shoppers immersed in their need to acquire. And as if she'd been hit by a heartful of stoppers, she realised he'd been her buyer. Why do I always end up with these men? She screamed in her head as she ran. It's like the same dinner again and again. And for what? For an all-over tan? Her fury was mounting, and now she was wild with insult and passion and guilt, helpless and hopeless like a 6-year-old child. The truth had gone into the hilt. Panties, she breathed as she walked into traffic, silently gritting her teeth. The realization was painful and graphic. She still had them on underneath. With cars rushing past, she was showered in light as the motorists lit up her stage. And with vim, with vigour, with all of her might, she tore off the panties and screamed in delight as they left her in spirals of glorious flight, to be swept away forever on the warm, toxic wind of 1,000 exhausts.
It's the poetry of Simon Welsh. You can go to simonwelshpoetry.co.uk. Love it. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Corner Cafe, and we are delighted this evening to be listening live to Simon Welsh and his amazing poetry. And Simon, you have a lot of new projects coming up. You've got some new material coming out. Tell us about, and you've talked about the dark and the light. Like this particular poem you said came from a collection where it starts out kind of dark, things kind of depressing. This is the 21st century. It's a reality check. And then there's these these breakthrough moments like what just happened to this woman. And tell us another one that you are drawn to this evening.
Can I choose from my entire repertoire?
That's in 4 minutes or less.
Okay, perfect. Well, the one I was thinking, on average, is 4 minutes and 7 seconds. So this poem I'd like to share with you now, it's on YouTube. It's got 50,000 hits in the last 9 months. So I'm quite excited about that because as a poet, people often think they don't like poetry. They're not interested in poetry. I got very excited about 4 years ago in the idea of quantum physics. I'm not a quantum physicist, and I'm sure if there were any here, they would scold me for being scientifically incorrect. However, to the layman, which I am and which I would imagine most of you probably are in terms of quantum physics, the essence is that although space is filled with a vacuum, the vacuum is made up of dark matter. And another description of dark matter is the 0 point field. The idea of 0 point energy is that when any solid is frozen to absolute zero, all energetic transfers within that solid, or liquid or gas, should cease. But they don't. There is an energetic vibration that exists in everything solid, liquid and gas, even at absolute zero. And this is 0 point energy, something that the Bible refers to as God, something that spiritualists refer to as the higher self. So this idea is that there is this vibration that exists in absolutely everything, even when it shouldn't. This is the essence of creation. 0 point energy effectively is nothing more than unmanifested DNA packed back to back, waiting to be born through thought or through other kinds of manifestation. Very, very exciting. Here's the 0 point field. Just outside of space-time is a place you've always been. Though it may be that you cannot well remember what you've seen, all of who you are is there, not just 10%. The real you is quantum. You vibrate with pure intent. A frequency of light and sound directed here and there. You don't exist at all, and yet you're always everywhere. The moment's all there is, and can't be measured on a line. There is no right or wrong, because the moment is divine. You are the creator of the frequency of youth, born in swirling symphonies of nothing but the truth. Age cannot affect you, for the only moment's now, and your mission is delightful, to explore yourself. But how? As truth, you are the answer to the question with no name. The journey lasts forever, and it's nothing but a game. So when you last decided that you'd like to come to Earth, that you wanted to explore human beingness from birth, you knew what you were doing. Your choice to come was true. You manifested simply in the frequency of you. But somewhere you forgot the truth. You let it fall away. You forgot this was a game, that your mission is to play. But now you are remembering that truth is who you are, that you are not your body, nor your thoughts about your car, nor your marriage, nor your misery, your spectrum of emotion. You are just a drop of water looking for the ocean. But here's the thing. A drop of water falling from the sky does not attempt to take control, doesn't try to fly. A drop of water gives itself to gravity and peace. And when it hits the ocean, it's the ultimate release. We are like those drops of water falling from the sky, but we do not surrender. We resist. And here's why. We're scared of life. We're scared of death. We're scared of being bold. We're scared of one another. We're scared of growing old. We're scared that if we join this ocean, we will disappear. We're scared of what will happen if we give in to that fear. But just the other side of fear, whispering and true, is the 0 point, our place of birth, calling me and you. So when we let our conscious thoughts descend like drops of rain, they can sink into the heart and join the ocean with no name. And there, together, consciously as many and as one, the 0 point will shine through us as brightly as the sun.
Simon, I loved that. Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's the poetry of Simon Welsh. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Corner Cafe, and you have also been listening to the poet and storyteller Simon Welsh. And I want to thank, while they're in the studio, Ben and Pepper of Ben and Peppers. This is a wonderful shop. Design, gifts, really fun, unusual, terrific stuff. And I wonder how you guys connected, actually. You should tell...
Well,
Simon, what brought you to Luxembourg and into ARA Studios?
How we first connected. I was in Brighton.
That you can say on the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Brighton in a cafe, and I was sitting alone at a table, writing. No, I wasn't. Ben was sitting alone. So, when I moved to Brighton, for my first 18 months, I really struggled to make friends. It seemed like there was an in crowd, and if you're in it, that's great. And if you're not, you're knocking on different doors, and you don't know how to make friends and stuff. And several times I'd been in this cafe before. It was a very nice cafe in the North Lanes, called the Dorset. And I had been sitting at a table with 3 other chairs around it on my own, and someone would say, "Oh, is anyone sitting there?" And I would think, "Oh, someone wants to sit with me." And I'd say, "No, no one's sitting there." And they'd go, "Oh, good, can I take this chair?" And eventually I was always marooned at this quite large table, just on my little chair on my own, and no possibility for meeting anybody. So I would just do my writing and be on my own. And this one time, I'd been living in Brighton, I guess 3 or 4 years by this point, there was this chap sitting on his own at a table. So I went over and I saw that there was a little table by itself where I could sit, and I saw he had a spare chair sitting at his table. And I said, "Oh, hi there, is anyone sitting there?" And he went, "No, no, take it." And I thought, oh my gosh, if I do, I will be just like those people who I felt isolated by. So I changed my plan, because I had planned to take it and sit on my own at this other little table and do my writing. And I said, "Oh no, actually," which was a bit of a lie, "I was asking if I could sit at the table with you." Not quite true, but in the moment I changed my mind. It became the truth, so whatever. And he said, "Okay." So we started, and then I was on the phone and I was chatting, and then he said, Are you a writer?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I'm an illustrator. I'm doing this art project at the moment, and I need to put together a book that I've decided this project is going to be the alphabet for children with really lovely pictures, but it's quite complicated because ideally I would like every page to be dedicated to that letter of the alphabet. So every word on the first page starts with the letter A, and so forth. So there's 26 pages, but that would be too difficult." I said, "No, it wouldn't. Always angry Alison always ate apples angrily." And he's like, "Oh my gosh." And he's like, and he'd already said he wanted it to be sort of medieval. And we ended up writing this story together about a princess trapped in a tower called Angry Alison. And then this Edward the Eskimo comes and rescues her, and they fall in love, and they overslay the creatures, the evil Clupons that cling to the outside of the castle walls, and they live happily ever after.
How come I never get anyone like that sitting next to me?
So we did this creative project together,
that?
and then I met Pepper a little after that. When I first met Ben, he and Pepper hadn't met. I think they met very soon after I met Ben, and then very slowly we formed a friendship, and then suddenly it was like, oh, we're all best friends, and then they're moving to Luxembourg, and now I'm here.
And this is your first time in Luxembourg?
This is my first time in Luxembourg.
All right. Well, welcome. It won't be your last.
I know it won't.
We're going to have you back. And meanwhile, if you need a Simon fix, you can go to simonwelshpoetry.co.uk. You can come to Ben and Pepper's, the wonderful eclectic design shop, and have a cremant on Saturday from 3 to 6. You can see Magic Happens and All Hail the 21st Century and have signed books, and there's just a lot that's going to be going on. We invite you to come, and I would like to, in turn, invite you, Simon, to please give us another one.
Okay, well, this, I think, is dedicated to all of you who are listening now, coming to Ben and Pepper on Saturday, because it will be a happy shopping experience for you. Remember, the address is 21 Avenue de la Liberté, and you can have a nice glass of cremant. So this poem is called Happy Shopper. Shopping's a delight for me, a thing I love to do, but I do not shop for others, so I cannot shop for you. I go shopping in the week, at the weekend, at night. I go shopping when it's raining. I go shopping when it's bright. I've shopped before on Christmas Day, at Easter, and at Lent. I shopped before when I was broke and couldn't pay my rent. I do not need a reason to go shopping every day, for it's something that I do in a constant sort of way. I shop for fun and merriment. I shop for conversation. I shop for disappointment. And I shop for irritation. I shop for new experience in pleasure and in pain. Occasionally I shop for loss, but mostly it's for gain. I've been a constant shopper since the day that I was born, but I didn't always know this fact. I used to feel worn. Life felt circumstantial, like a massive game of chess in which other players' moves always got me in a mess. In truth, I felt a victim. I experienced my life as a story someone else was writing, full of pain and strife. Things would happen to me, and I felt I had no say. I remember often thinking, I don't want to go this way. But I went there, nonetheless, to that place, of the insane, the place we choose to fight against the things we can't explain. I lived for several years there, fighting in the dark, a child of abandonment, a dog without a bark. And on the darkest day, I surrendered to the fight, and the moment that I did, I was given clear sight. I looked around and startled saw that everything was new. The moment had refreshed my mind to show me what was true. I saw that I'm the writer of my story, of my play, and that was how I learnt that I am shopping every day. And now that I am conscious, I buy only what I need. For my soul is mine to nourish and to nurture and to feed. Things no longer happen to me. Now they happen for me. I'm loving every moment, and the moments, they adore me. Everything that happens is a thing that I have bought. Every single action, every single thought. So when a moment brings me disappointment, grief, or shame, I do not shop for justice or for pity or for blame. I remember that I shopped for this experience at hand, and I let those feelings run through me like water through the sand. All of us are shopping. It's a thing we love to do. We can shop for what is false, or we can shop for what is true. And when we know we're shopping, and this moment is the shop, we can choose the final word and the very last full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Wonderful, wonderful. It's the poetry of Simon. We're going to look for Magic Happens and All Hail the 21st Century. You can obviously see him on YouTube because apparently the rest of the world is checking in. How many hits did you get, Simon?
51,000 so far on the 0 Point field specifically.
That's wonderful, and I want to hear that one again. We're going to have to leave you now, and Simon, have a wonderful weekend. Come join us on Saturday and
go shopping for all those wonderful experiences.
Exactly.
And embrace them.
It's a great place to go shopping as well. Best to you, and we'll see you next Thursday from all of us here at the Corner Cafe.